to give my thoughts on a press conference from our new general manager. I like to call him Moogs. Anyway, Moogs came in and was talking and answering questions from the press from the combine, was answering a lot of questions, a lot of stuff. A lot of people were asking him questions about the future of the team, about obviously they bring up Aaron Rodgers right away, and everybody wants to know, can you imagine being a fly on the wall or being able to hear the conversations that went on between the new regime and Aaron Rodgers, and somebody actually had factual access to the truth other than Rodgers and those people, whether it was Moogs and Aaron Glenn, if there was anyone else in there. Can you imagine how valuable that information would be? Just astonishing. But I wanted to talk about Cam Ward. Okay, a lot of rumors going around. The Jets might trade up, and somebody said we'd give away the next 55,000 picks for the next 50 years to get them, and basically say, Cam Ward, we're going to just get a bunch of guys off of the waiver wire and build the team that way. Free agency and the waiver wire, Cam Ward. We're going to give it, we don't need picks. We don't need draft picks because we'll have you, Cam Ward. So apparently that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're doing. But anyway, I listened to Boogs, and I wanted to see, is there any truth in that? Does he have any tells? Now, there's two different scenarios. When a guy talks, sometimes they're just giving you a procedural answer. Meaning, anytime you ask, it's like a program. He'll do it every year. Would you consider trading down or trading up or, picking whatever, staying put? And the GM will just look and basically give the very robotic, we will consider all avenues. We will consider trading up and consider trading down and not trading at all. And we'll look at all the different players and we'll consider all the different positions and see how the board falls. Right? Very, very vanilla answer. Didn't sound like it as much to me. When Moogs talked about it, he said to the effect of, yeah, we'll talk about trading up. We'll also consider trading down, back. But the way he said trading up was a little bit of a tell to me because it didn't sound like it was a vanilla, typical answer. It actually felt like he was saying, yeah, if the opportunity comes, we would trade up. That's what it sounded like. And what that tells me is there's really only one person we'd be trading up for. If you look where we are, we wouldn't trade up for Abdul Carter, as good as a player he is, or Travis Hunter. We're not trading up for them. We're not giving other picks for a positional player. And I don't think it's Sanders. And even if Sanders is the better quarterback than Ward, I don't think we're trading up to get him. I don't think he's going to get along great with Aaron Glenn. I could be completely wrong. It could be the opposite. But I don't think it's going to be. I think that if Daddy Dion opens up his mouth and starts making demands, I think that Aaron Glenn would tell Daddy where to go F himself, or where to go or what to do to himself. I don't think it would work very well because I think that Daddy's going to be very involved in his son's career. And I don't think, from what I can tell, from what Aaron Glenn has said, that's not going to work. It is not going to work. The one sense I'm getting from Aaron Glenn, and this is the happiest part about him being our coach, is that I think we could all agree that the best part about it is, the one thing about it is he ain't taking no crap. He's not playing any games. This is not a coach that's playing any games. So I don't see that it could be Sanders. And I don't think that's a quarterback we would trade up for. I think that I honestly believe if he really said, yeah, like if he meant that if that trading up was there, the opportunity at a reasonable price was there. If he was serious about that, that tells me they love Cam Ward. That's the only thing I can imagine. I can't imagine that they would trade up for Sanders. I just can't see it. I could be completely wrong. Maybe they love him. Someone said they were buddy-buddy. the other day that they were joking around or something. And maybe Sanders runs back to Daddy and goes, "I really would like to be a Jet because I like that guy. I like that coach. I want to play for him." I don't know, but it's very hard to imagine. We have had such a problem on this team with bad press and bad media and distractions, and it's just so hard to imagine us just purposefully drafting a guy that can blow up. It's such a risk. It's not just, with every other player, you have the risk that they're a bust, right? And that's true with any player. There is no such thing as a sure thing in this sport, right? In drafting. So every guy has a potential to be a bust, a complete bust. And that's already scary because that really hurts an organization, especially quarterback, because then, you're not taking another quarterback for 2 years, so you're losing 3 years when you do that, right? It's a horrible, horrible thing. The worst thing that can happen to an organization is when we learned that with Zach Wilson. It's a dagger in the heart when you miss on quarterback. And with Sanders, I think there's two threats. There's the threat of him not being a good player. That's a threat, right? Because any player might be a bust. We just established that. But there's also, he might be a problem because he might come in and make demands, or his dad might get involved and there might be some stuff. And then we don't need that. We just went through the stuff. We don't need more stuff. It's been years of stuff. We just need to be a real organization with a real head coach who drafts real players, who say the right things, who don't, and the social media thing, my God, I hope he has a policy. And he just makes an example out of someone. I don't care who you are, I will cut you or trade you if you run your mouth on social media. I am not allowed to do it in my job. Are you? Are you allowed to bitch about your boss or company publicly on social media? I don't think so. I think you'd be fired. And I think that if that's the move we have to make to become the organization that tells the players we don't care, we're putting the team first for real. And if you cause distraction to this team, you're gone. I don't care what your name is. But it's very hard to imagine inviting somebody in who's already known. His dad's already made comments about he'll decide what team his son goes to. His son is already talking about, has run his mouth a little bit about teammates in college. I don't like it. And I hope that our coaching staff doesn't like it either. No more nonsense. Let's start there. Before we even worry about talent, no more nonsense. If Q comes in and still has an attitude about Rodgers getting cut, I might agree with you, Q, but if you open your mouth about it one more time, you're gone. You and your $24 million paycheck, gone. Let somebody else pay you $24 million. We'll take the second round pick or whatever we get, and we will pick somebody else. And I know that sucks, and I know that's not what anybody wants to hear because you don't like to see good players go. But if they are not on board, goodbye. You rip it apart and you build it back up if that's what it takes. But you do not move forward and pretend that a cancer in the locker room is not there, because cancer grows. And you cannot pretend it's not there. That doesn't work. So I don't think that Sanders is a fit. But Cam Ward might be, if you're into Cam Ward. I know a lot of people that are not. He's not the guy that they want. And that's okay. Because every quarterback that comes out every year has people that don't like the quarterback, and they have a bunch of people who do like a quarterback. So there's people who love Ward, and there's people who don't. Just like Jackson Dart, and just like Shedeur Sanders. Every player, Will Howard, they have their supporters and their detractors. And that's okay. So, but if he wants to trade up, I am going to say I think that is a huge indicator. If he really meant that trading up is something we would want to do. if he's picking up the phone and making any effort to trade up, it's for Cam Ward. That means he wants Cam Ward. And what does that tell us? Now, Cam Ward's not going to drop to 7. And we're probably not going to trade up because the price is going to be too high. That's what, because we have a lot of holes in our roster and a lot of needs. And it's going to be very hard to imagine us giving up our second round pick and 3 firsts or whatever it's going to be, and next year's second. And we're never going to be able to fill the holes on our roster that way. So it would be a knife in the heart move. And it's even if he turned out to be a good quarterback, it's a questionable move because we were not going to have the roster around them to do anything for so long. The other thing is, if we're wrong, can you imagine? I mean, we're not the Niners who gave up all those picks, or the Rams that are able to still magically pick stars in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. We're just, that's not our organization. That's not who we've been, right? So we can't suddenly start to think it's going to magically happen. So I don't see it. But what it does tell us is that if Cam Ward was to slip to 7, if he doesn't do as good at the combine as people think, or he says something stupid, I don't know. Or for some reason, people are just playing poker and nobody really wants him. And he was to slip to 7. I think we're definitely taking him. If Moogie was being serious about like having any interest in trading up. Because that's who he'd be trading up for. It's very obvious that there'd be no choice. Said, hi, what's up? Hi, Cameron, I see you. And I see Sean McAteer. Sean McAteer. Guys, if you don't know, there's a place called Temecula in California. And if you want trouble, you're going to have trouble because there's 3 McAteers. And they guard the land of Temecula. And he's one of them. And I'm trying to grow my beard just like his. I want it to be very special. So I'm working on it, Sean McAteer. You're my inspiration. We also have Kilkey's in here. He says, "No way the Jets are in a Cam Ward. I wish we keep dreaming. But we can keep dreaming." Well, if you like Ward, I'm not saying we would trade up for Ward. I'm saying that we would pick him if he dropped to 7. Now, I'm not saying he would. I don't think he will. I don't think that the Giants and Ted, I don't think all those teams are not going to take Cam Ward if he was there. I don't think we should trade up for him. I think that would be a big mistake if the price is accurate, if it really would be our first round pick this year, next year, and I think they said 3 number 2s, so this year, next year, and the year after that. Like if that was the price, no way, Jose. But if he drops to us, I think we're taking him. If Moogs, I'm gonna call him Moogs, if Moogs was serious. If Moogs was serious that he's considering trading up or would consider a trade up, that means it's Ward. There's no one else it could be. There's no one else we would trade up for, unless it was a vanilla answer. Unless as a GM, every GM is supposed to, and you'd be crazy not to say it, when asked by the media, would you consider trading up, trading back, and say, maybe it's the vanilla answer. We would trade up, we would trade back, we would depends on the board. Like maybe that's just the answer you give. But if there's any truth or there's any reality or he's being serious and there's anything real that comes out that says the Jets have had conversations about trading up, it is for Cam Ward. There is no other player that it's for. If we were talking about trading up, it's for Cam Ward. That's the player. There's nobody else we'd be talking about trading up for, unless I'm totally wrong and they love Shadir Sanders. Let me see. I'm sorry, you have to see my head when I do this. No way the price is too high. It should cost that much from 7 to 1. I agree. The code is looking strong, Jeremy. Keep it up. It's good to see you all here. Good to see you, JD. It's Kilkey's. Welcome. I don't think I've ever noticed Kilkey's before in the chat, but seems to be a Cam Ward guy. Maybe he's not a Jet guy. Maybe he's a Cam Ward guy. And maybe he's saying no. But he said we can dream, so that makes me think he's a Jet guy. I would much rather wait until 26. Yeah, JD says, yeah, that's my thing, man. I'm definitely a JD is an interesting screen name, by the way, because it sounds like JD, like Joe Douglas. I'm very much into waiting till 2026. There's a few quarterbacks I'm really got my eye on in 2026. I think there's some that nobody is looking at that will be quarterbacks that people are getting their eye on. You know, there's a quarterback for Clemson, Klubnik, and everybody laughs. Like nobody talks about him. Like he stayed in school. He could have came out. He stayed in school. He gets no respect. He wasn't ranked high at all. And everybody acts like he's just garbage, and I don't understand it. His aside from just his numbers, he played against one of the toughest pass defenses in the league, in the nation, like number one or two in the nation at pass defense, and he did better than any other quarterback that played against him last year, and that's against Texas. So Clemson played Texas in a pretty big game, and he threw for like 260 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Like he had a good game. And I don't understand how that's not something that catches people's interest. He has crazy numbers, and he did it against the toughest competition. And I don't know why people wouldn't at least look at this guy's film. So that's like a hidden guy that nobody even talks about. And then you got the kid from LSU. You got Drew Aller. There's a good chance that Arch Manning's going to come out, or a chance that he won't. If he comes out in 27, that's going to be a great year too, because there's that rookie or that freshman that had that crazy year. There's a freshman everyone's talking about, I forget his name, that looks like he's going to be like the next freaking Messiah. So in the next couple of years, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks coming out that are going to be ranked and rated much, much higher than anybody that's coming out this year. So there is something to be said about being patient and waiting. We can't wait till 27. But we could certainly wait till 26. Jojo Townsville said, this year will be fun to watch all these quarterbacks in college. Yes, it'll be more fun than watching the Jets, I think. But I think that Aaron Glenn did get me a little pumped up. I'm not going to lie. I get sucked into it. When he sits there saying we're making decisions to win right now. Win now, win now, win now. I don't know if it's just coach talk but he feels believable. Maybe he's delusional. I don't know. I mean, when I look at it on paper, we're winning 4 games, folks. 4-13, if you ask me. But Aaron Glenn seems to be confident. What's going on, Melvin? Is Garrett Wilson staying? I mean, I can only give you my opinion, obviously. It's no better than your opinion. I think that there's a very good chance that Garrett Wilson will end up staying, and here's why. I think that I think Garrett Wilson is very intelligent. I think he's a very intelligent football player. Aside from his talents, I think he's very intelligent. And I think that we've had horrible coaching, terrible coaching. We didn't know, and we're finding out. Maybe some of us knew or figured it out. The culture of the locker room was terrible. The organization was in a terrible place. And I think that for one thing, anything else, I think Aaron Glenn is going to clean up a lot of the stuff that I think Garrett Wilson probably didn't like. I think there's a lot of nonsense that Aaron Glenn's going to get rid of. And I think we've already seen that he's willing to do it his way. So if I had to guess, I think that we're going to work it out with Garrett Wilson. I have a feeling we're going to extend them. I think that they want Garrett Wilson to be a vital part of this team in the future that we build around, a big part of the core. So my answer is yes, I think. So if Garrett Wilson refuses to be happy or has already made up his mind and demands a trade, then I think we'll trade him and he'll be gone. I could see 6 to 9 wins with better coaching. I would, yeah, but there's no Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not saying it was a horrible move or that he's the god, but he just put up the 3rd best year we've ever had from a quarterback in our history, and we're certainly not going to have a better quarterback this year, and we certainly are not going to have a better roster. Like we're losing a lot of players, and we're going to have a lot of holes, and I just don't see this roster. It's not just the coaching being better. I agree the coaching will be better, but I don't think the roster is going to be very good. Maybe my mind will change when we get a quarterback, because maybe I'll like the quarterback that we get. But unless we pull something out of our ass and end up with a good quarterback, I'm not feeling real good about it. But a good quarterback can change my mind. A good quarterback and a WR2. Like I need to know who our other wide receiver is going to be. I need to know who our quarterback's going to be. And then if you plug the other holes with good draft picks and everything, maybe I'll start to believe that we could win some games. But as it stands right now, we don't have a quarterback. And that's a problem for me. Cam Ward, that's a quarterback isn't it? And we do draft and do we draft quarterbacks? No, we don't draft quarterbacks. Well, I mean, the problem is that Cam Ward won't be there at 7, and I think the price is too high to trade up to get him. So that's the problem with Cam Ward. I don't see a path of how Cam Ward's going to be a New York Jet. So that's the problem with that. And the other thing is I'm not even sure that Cam Ward's going to be good. I think he's a 50-50. So don't get me wrong. That's not anti-Ward. That's not me not liking him or beating up on him. Me saying 50-50 is saying I think there's a 50% chance he'll be a good NFL quarterback. That's a huge compliment. It's a huge compliment to say that about somebody out of college, that you think they could be a good quarterback. But there's a 50% chance in my mind that he's not going to be very good because I have some concerns and it's just the concern I have for almost any quarterback. I just don't, just no way to know if it's going to translate to the NFL. There's just no way to know for sure, right? I mean, that's the thing with quarterbacks. So, but that's why I don't like trading up for them. I don't want to give up the future for a 50-50 shot. You know what I mean? If he falls to 7, fine. Take your shot. But to trade up a million assets and crush the if we're wrong, it's 3 to 4 years of winning under 7 games. If we're wrong, based on the price. So no, I'm not about that. I'd rather trade back and draft the quarterback from Syracuse. Well, Todd, I don't care about the quarterback from Syracuse. I mean, sure, if they want to pick him in the middle rounds, fine. But I like the trading back. You could see the path with Shedeur. Okay. Could we explore that if the opportunity arises? Look, if Sanders could slip. It's not impossible. It's unlikely. But he could slip. Much more chance that he slips than Ward. If they take Sanders, it means they like him. It means they had great talks with him. Because if they have talks with Sanders and if Daddy says I don't want my son to play for the Jets, we're not taking him. We're not going to say, well, screw you, we're taking him. He's our pick and we own him for 4 years. We're not doing that. We're not. We're not going to purposely draft a problem. So if Daddy Sanders says no New York Jets, I don't know that that's true, but if he says it, we're not taking him, right? Because you got to be nuts to take him because you already know it's a problem. If Daddy says my son really wants to play for the Jets, or I'd love it if he played for the Jets, yes to the Jets, and we'd be really excited about it and really want to turn the team around, and the Jets loved him, I'm not going to argue because I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know more than an NFL scout and a personnel department. I'm just not going to do it. If they love him, they love him. And I will hope to God they're right. And I will be humble. Chris Bradigan is here. A WR2, a right tackle, improve the defense. The Jets can make the playoffs. I like the enthusiasm, Billy. Chris Bradigan says, I want to see more disciplined team and a more ready to play team. Stick of being completely flat and lost by halftime. I agree. Just can we at least be prepared? We were the most unprepared team in the NFL over the course of the last 3 years. There's no question about it. In the majority of our games, we came into the game unprepared. Robert Saleh and that coaching staff was unable to prepare any roster. I don't care how good they were. They were not able to prepare a roster for football. And that is without question the truth. We were the worst prepared team in the NFL. We would come out in games and be so bad. We would have beat Kansas City if we would have played even any respectable football in the first quarter that week 2 years ago. Remember that? For the first 20 minutes of the football game, we were absolutely the most atrocious team in the world. So, yeah, I mean, that's a problem. Sanders is overrated. I mean, look, I personally wouldn't take him. If it's up to me, I'm waiting to 2026, fellas. But if they take a quarterback at 7, I'm going to support him as best I can. I might curse a little bit for a few seconds. I might say, ugh, and then I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to hope they're right because we have no choice. If they trade back and take Dart, or they take Dart, or they take Sanders, or they trade up for Ward, the worst thing for me is if they trade up and trade tons of picks for Ward. I'm going to want to cry in my pillow because I'm telling you, even if he's good, we're not going to be able to put a team around them. Sanders and Ward could both end up like Russell, which would be great. If one of them is a Jet, that would be great. But you know what? Every year, the top three or four or five, six quarterbacks could end up being the next Russell or Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's true every year. Every year, every great quarterback in college, every winning quarterback or great quarterback who plays well in college could be a superstar in the NFL. The problem is they could also be a horrific bust. We would beat a lot of teams this year. But when in need of a quarterback, if the opportunity arises, it's better to take a quarterback at 7 rather than at 2 with Wilson. That's true too. That's, I mean, the Zach Wilson thing. I mean, obviously, it's easy with hindsight. I mean, forget about Justin Fields or anybody else. If we could just go back in time and tell them, no, 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 trade with San Francisco, and we could have been the ones to get the 49ers 3 first-round picks and their second-round pick and all of that beautiful, sweet package and traded back to 12. And then who could we have picked at 12 that year? Ugh. Endless opportunities. We still had the 23rd pick or whatever, the pick we used for AVT. I mean, who knows who we would have picked at 12 if we would have had that pick. And we would have just stuck with Sam Darnold. Who knows? But that's the past. Can't change the past. Not Russell Wilson. Russell from LSU who went to the Raiders and was a bust. Oh, so you're talking about Jamarcus Russell. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You're right. Either one of them could be a bust. Either one of them could be very good. The most shocking thing in the world to me would be if both those quarterbacks were hits. If Sanders and Ward both ended up being great NFL quarterbacks, I would never try to, I'll give up. I'll wave the white flag. I will never try to rank quarterbacks again if they both hit. Because I think this is such a terrible year for quarterback, for that position. I think it's a terrible year. Because I swear to you, if it was last year and Ward, the reason Ward didn't come out last year and went to Miami was to build up his draft value. He would have been a 4th round pick last year? 3rd round at the highest? I mean, like, he would have been the 7th, 8th ranked quarterback. I mean, all those guys from last year would have went ahead of him. Like, he didn't rank as high as any of those guys. And Sanders, not even close. Sanders, too. They would have been QB 7 and 8 in either order. So, man, I would be wrong. If those two end up good NFL quarterbacks, I just give up. I just won't try anymore. I'll just sit there and for the rest of my YouTube career, when people ask about quarterback, I'll just say, I don't know. Because I just don't know. That's what I'll tell people. I don't know. If those two quarterbacks both end up being good. I think there's a chance one of them will end up okay. I think it's more likely to be Ward. I put my money on Ward because he's mobile. He's mobile. See what I did there? Because I was in mobile for the Senior Bowl. I could see it being him. So, well, yeah, Jackson Dart's not a top 7 pick, but he might end up being one because we are in a crazy league. And there's crazy teams that if they like Jackson Dart, if they like him and they're not sure he's going to be there in the 2nd round, somebody might grab him. It could even be the Jets. There's no way to know for sure. There's no way to know. I think we interviewed him. I think at the Combines, I think he had a formal interview. I got to look into that and see if that's true. But I think there's a chance that we interviewed Jackson Dart. I mean, it could be we interviewed him for due diligence. It could be that we interviewed him because if maybe the thinking is if he slipped to the 2nd rounds, maybe we would trade up into the 1st rounds with the 2nd and 3rd round pick and try to move up and get him. I don't know. Crazier things have happened. This is like the Will Levis draft. I agree. Crazy is the perfect word. Yeah. Crazy. Teams are crazy for quarterbacks. Teams will take quarterbacks who've had 5 good games. Because you could break it down. How many times have we seen that? You'll have a quarterback who played 1 full season, and you could cut those 10 games in half, and 5 of them are not impressive at all. and everything is based on 5 games. We've seen it happen. We saw the San Francisco 49ers trade up 3 first-round picks to pick a kid who played 12 college games, I think, and passed and on a running team who barely ever passed the ball. And they picked him with a 3rd pick. We saw that happen with Trey Lance because he's a great athlete. They picked him because he's a great athlete. Oh, he could run with the ball, so that makes him great. If that's your thinking, why not pick Gentry and make him a quarterback? Like, why not just take the best running back in college football and draft him as a quarterback? He could run. Like, I don't know what the Niners were thinking, but then they did the complete opposite and genius move because with the last pick of that same draft, they took Brock Purdy, their future quarterback. So isn't that ironic? I'm good with Tyrod. Jets should just fix their holes this offseason. Don't need a quarterback. I'm trying to move the back from my face, but dude, you don't have to watch. I'm talking into a phone, and if I want to read the chat, I have to move it up like this. So there's nothing I could do. But if you don't want to watch, you don't have to watch. I don't care about viewers. Like, I care about viewers. I love my supporters, but I don't care if you don't want to watch. Like, I don't need the numbers. I don't care about numbers and how many people watch my videos. I'm here to talk to my friends Chris Bradigan and Sean McAteer and Harlan and Billy SBC and JoJo. Like that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? That's why I'm here. So if you don't like my face, then just don't watch. It's okay. You can go somewhere else. Or you could like shut the camera part off or not look at it. And if you like the content, what I'm saying, you could just turn up the volume and look the other way. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? I don't care. I don't care if you like my face or not. I only need JD, by the way, I didn't mean to leave you out of that. I care about you, JD. JD, I care about you. I care about you, JD. I do. Anyway, so I do believe. I believe in time. Let's see. So what if we don't take Ward? What if we don't take Ward? What if he's gone? What if Shedeur Sanders is gone? And what if we take a position player? Who do you want? The safety will be on the board from Georgia, right? That crazy safety. Warren will almost definitely be on the board. I mean, 95% Tyler Warren will be on the board. The safety will be on the board. 50-50 Mason Graham is on the board. I think 30% chance Tet McMillan's on the board. All these guys make us better. I mean, I personally think that you can get Kenneth Grant or Walter Nolan, or you can get a very good defensive tackle in the second round. I honestly don't think you need to take one with the 7th pick. But if they took Mason Graham, it would definitely make us a better team. I mean, like, it would be special. He's a special player, so it's not like it's a horrible pick. But I think that if you could get Kenneth Grant with the 42nd pick, that I'd rather that scenario. And then you take Tet McMillan, and Garrett Wilson has his complimentary wide receiver on the other side. I think it's defensive in round 1. Georgia has 3 players worth a top 10 pick. Well, the safety, right? There's the safety. Who am I leaving out? Who's the other one? For Georgia this year, they have the linebacker, right? The edge/linebacker, Jalen Walker or something like that. Who else are you thinking about for Georgia on defense? I'm drawing a blank for some weird reason. Ted over Warren. Yeah, I think that you edge and linebacker. Yeah, I think that you have to take Ted over Warren because position. Like, it's, wide receiver is just more expensive and harder to come by than tight ends. You know what I mean? Like tight ends you can get. I mean, and I know everybody's fed up and wants a tight end, but you have to understand, So many tight ends in the NFL, really good ones, were like third, fourth, fifth round picks. So, it's a position you can fill. I agree we have to get tight ends, but do we have to invest a top 10 pick? I just don't know. Now, Tyler Warren's a great player. I'm not going to complain if we take him. I'd rather trade back and take him. I'd rather trade back 12 to 13, 14, 15. Trade back, get me another second round pick. Then grab Tyler Warren. I'm much happier with that. But if he's on the board and you take McMillan, I'm very happy with that. It's a great weapon. If you take the safety, I know a lot of people are going to complain if we take the safety from Georgia. I know people are going to be upset, but man, he's a special player, and it's an important position in this scheme for Wilkes. It's important to have a really good safety, and this is a ball hawker. This is a guy who's going to create turnovers. So I don't know. If we can get Watts in the second round, I saw that. That's always been a big favorite of mine. Getting Xavier Watts at 42 would be a huge win, especially if it came after getting McMillan. If you get T-Mac and then you get Watts at 42, that's huge. If you trade back and get Tyler Warren and get Xavier Watts and then have another second-round pick and get a defensive tackle like a Kenneth Grant, that's a grand slam. That's about like as good a draft as I can dream of. So there are scenarios that are very, very enticing. It's hard to trade back. That's the problem. It's very difficult to trade back. It's not an easy thing to do because you have to have a willing trade partner. Oh, Michael Williams. Yeah, he's excellent. He's a just very, very disruptive player. Be hard to imagine taking him. I think he's a better edge seal than McDonald, but still, we kind of have our pass rush specialist, and we have JJ, but we do have to replace Michael Clemens. We do need a first, second down. We need an all-purpose down edge, a guy who can seal the edge, and I don't. Clemens is due a raise. If Clemens would cost us a little over $3 million, and I just can't imagine we're going to pay Michael Clemens $3 million. I just can't imagine it. He's just a jag. You let him go, you can just pick up any defensive. Even either of the two guys that were undrafted from last year is as good as Michael. Clemens just wasn't. He needs a new maybe he needs a new location. Go to Atlanta. Stick with Holbrook. I don't know, but it didn't work out for here. Not for Clemens. Not the right personality for Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn needs smart players. He said it. Aaron Glenn cares about smart players. Robert Saleh was full of shit. Like, he was a liar. I care about character and players who want a ball. We have so many bad characters in our team. That was a huge problem with our team, is that we drafted terrible, terrible personalities. Terrible leaders. Terrible, 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 terrible. These were not the right guys. We did a horrible job interviewing these guys. A lot of guys who spilled things to social media. A lot of guys who won't shut up, bitching, complaining, getting horrible penalties. It has not been impressive. It has not been impressive at all. So, I don't understand how you go. We've got some good characters too. Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson. These are real leaders. These are good guys. These are team guys that want to lead and want to be here and want to turn this team around. Those are the guys. Those are the guys we need to focus on. Joe Tippmann. Those are guys. These are real leaders. These are real guys who want to be here and want to help turn this organization around. Those are the players you build around. Jihad Campbell would be nice to get a starter. Yeah, but Campbell, obviously you're not going to take him at 7. But trade down and take Campbell. I don't think he'll be there at 42 either. I think that he's one of those guys that just are not in our range. But if we trade back and you take Campbell, I like him, man, because he could. He causes turnovers. He's a disruptor. He can go to the quarterback. He could stop the run. He could drop back in coverage. He's an everything player. He's a football player. He's the kind of guy that just does it all. That works with Wilk's system too. He's a perfect player for our defense, for our new scheme. He's a perfect player because you could hide things. You could do a hybrid type version of 4-3. You could have your linebacker blitz. You could pull him back into coverage. You could have like everything. I love Jihad Campbell for that. Jihad Campbell for that. He's perfect for the Jets. Perfect. How bad do you think the refs are gonna suck this season? I don't know. They're probably gonna suck for us because we don't have Aaron Rodgers to protect us anymore. So when you don't have stars, the referees just screw you over. So nobody cares about us. You answered my Jihad Campbell question. Thanks. Sure, man. Jihad Campbell's a great player. I watched his film after Dom C talked about him and how much he loved him. So I said, "Who is this guy?" And I went into my NFL database. I have a database that's shared with me. And I watched, and like by the third play, he made an interception. I said, "Holy shit!" It took 3 plays for him to do something. Sometimes I'll watch. I have to watch a full game and into his second game before a player I'm focusing on does anything. Doesn't mean they're bad. Sometimes it's just not even their fault. They win the reps. They're doing their job. But that's what's hard about watching film and not highlights is that it could be boring. Because sometimes like watching defensive tackles, you could go almost the whole game where they don't do anything. Like there's no tackles for losses, there's no sacks, but it doesn't mean they're not good. They're good. They're winning their reps. It's just that they're being double teamed. The other team is just running away from them. Like the plays are just going away from them. So they're doing their job. They're taking away part of the field, right? The running back can't go a certain way because of them. They're forcing the quarterback to get rid of the ball faster. Or they're opening up other players around them by forcing double teams. So there are guys where you watch their film and you like their film, but you have to be able to sit there and watch and know that you might be watching for half an hour and not see anything, except that they're taking up space in a good way. But it's not as exciting as, let's say, an offensive tackle where you could really see whether they're winning the rep every play. Because whether it's a running play or a passing play, it's exciting because every play when you're looking at film for an offensive tackle, you could judge whether or not they won the rep. Like it's not just a neutralized kind of thing. With defensive tackles, sometimes it's not about winning the rep. It's like it's literally absorbing the offensive tackle or the guard. Like the play is just, an end run that has nothing to do with you, and it's just like you're just running into a guy and they're running into you, and there's no way you could possibly get to the other side of the field, and it has nothing to do with you. It's just we call it a wash. You didn't win the rep, you didn't lose the rep. It's just a non-rep. But with an offensive tackle, except for special cases, it's a lot of fun to watch because you could decide. You really could almost every rep decide if they won the rep or not, like every pass play. Because even if they get rid of the ball fast, let's say you say, well, there's no way to know if how long he would have been. What you could do when you watch an offensive lineman is you could see just from the 1 second, you could see when they make contact, where are their hands? Did they lock the guy up? Did they win position? Did they thrust out of the line of scrimmage low and come in low with the leverage? So there's things that you could tell, even if it has nothing to do with the play, right? Let's say the quarterback quickly threw the ball to the wide receiver, a flat pass, instantly, RPO, got rid of the ball within a second, right? It has nothing to do with the offensive tackle. But when the ball snapped and you could see who had position when he met the defensive the edge. So at least you could rate that. You could judge that. You could say, oh, look at this guy. He's getting position every rep. Every rep, his hands are on the inside. Every rep, he's locking the guy up. Every rep, his footwork is good. He's got balance. He's not getting pushed over. He's turning the guy the direction on every running play. Is he turning the guy? Is he creating a space, or is the guy pushing him back into the hole? Right? Like who's pushing who? Who has position? Who has leverage? It's a lot more fun of a position to rate than defensive tackle, or the worst is safety, man. There's nothing worse than prospecting a safety. Because once in a blue moon, they'll make a great play. But for the most part, like rep after rep, they're just a safety. Like they don't even, the tackle happens before they're even involved in a lot of running plays. They're coming all the way from outside the box. By the time they get there, somebody already made the play on a lot of reps. And then there are passing plays where they're in their zone and nobody tests it. And even if they do test it, a wide receiver goes deep, the safety runs over, the ball's already been thrown somewhere else. There's no way to see the end of the play where did he catch the guy? Did he play his eyes right? And did he turn? Did he his hands? Did he knock the ball down? Like, you don't get to find anything else. And it's play after play of meaninglessness, just wash. Like, and maybe if you're a really trained scout, you could look at the hips and the way he runs, but I'm not going to sit there and pretend I can tell all that, so it's not, it can be boring watching film. That's why I understand why a lot of people just watch highlights, and they want to base their opinions on what they read and highlights. And I get it, because it's really freaking boring to watch all 22. Like, it's boring, but it's freaking rewarding. Because when you find that tackle who's winning every rep and nobody else knows about him, or everybody else is just projecting him as a third rounder, and you look into the reasons and it's because he plays for a small school, or if he, there's all kinds of stupid reasons, right? Because there's so many teams in the country, and there's so many, why does some guys get noted and others don't? And you watch their film and they're winning every rep. And then I thought, there's got to be something wrong. Why is it like that? That's what I thought last year when Domsey had me watching these guys. And, I would watch guys he liked. And I said, how could it be? Why would they be a fourth-round pick? Why Zach Frazier? Why? Why doesn't everybody pick him in the first round then? And then he gets picked in the third or fourth round, and he turns out to be one of the better rookies in football. And we were right. And I think the answer is that a few people or a few sites come up with a list, and all the scouts just go off that list. Like, oh, these are the top 8 guys to watch. And there's 100 schools and 200 starting guards that you could watch and look at. And I just think that the great organizations are probably the ones that push their scouting staff to really do their job and every day look at film. And I think they're like every other profession, like every other job. I think there are scouts that are slackers. And I think they just don't do it. And then I think there are teams that have poor models. Like they have a they have a scout in every region, and that scout has to do every position. I think that's stupid. I think that's really stupid with today's technology. If I was hiring a scouting department, a personnel department, I would have guys for positions. I'd have an offensive tackle scout. And that's all he does. And other people he would have to report to, that would have to look at his findings and agree with it. And then I would have a guard guy. And he just watches rep after rep all year long. And just knows every guard in college in Division I that you could find. That guy should know every one of them. How often do they win position? How often do they give up a pressure or sack? How often do they get moved? Or how often are they doing the moving? That's how I would run it. Because we're finding guys like Miles Frazier, this draft, the fact that he was ranked 200 before the Senior Bowl, and he was an afterthought, is ridiculous. Now, because of the Senior Bowl, people are catching on, but he's still ranked on PSN 157. 157th. This is a guy, Miles Frazier, where I promise you is going to be in a average to better average to really good guard in this league. And he could be had in the 4th round. Apparently. Unless some scout sees him the way me and Dom sees him and picks him in the 3rd round to make sure that nobody else beats them to it. But here's a guy who played for LSU. 2 tackles that are projected to go early in the draft. So everybody watches LSU's offensive line, and they're focusing on the tackles. They're focusing on Will Campbell. And nobody noticed this guard who's sitting on the right side blocking everyone. and doing it well. And the knock on him and the explanation that people would give for it is, oh, well, he's really big and slow. He's not as athletic. Okay, fair enough. He shouldn't get drafted by a team with an outside zone, right? Blocking scheme. Okay, fine. Power gap. But there's so many teams in the NFL that run a power gap. So he's fine for that because you're not going to ask him to run across the field, like stunt him over to the other side or put him in, put him in space. You're just going to have him maul the guy in front of him. And we're going to run a lot of power gap, which makes me think I want Miles Frazier to be drafted in the 4th round by us and be our backup guard because we all know about injuries. And if we can't find a right tackle, you swing AVT out to the right tackle and you put Miles Frazier in right guard, and you just solved our offensive line problem with a 4th round pick. I'm a genius. I am. Anyway, guys, somebody must be on or something because everything went down. You guys are running to some other channel. I don't know what show is on. I don't check the schedule, but I might be conflicting with one of my friends, so I'm going to go. So look and see who's on. Talking Jets, do they got a show right now? If they do, Green Bean, if anybody of those guys, Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7, if you see any of those guys going right now in those channels, watch that channel. I'll get off so I'm not competing with them, even though it's not like I have a ton of people watching me anyway. But love you guys for being here, who've been here. Todd, thanks for coming in also. I did have eye surgery. It went well, so thanks for seeing great out of this eye. Still got to get surgery on this eye, so I'm not there yet. But I'm seeing a million times better, and that's why I don't have glasses. So it's things are looking really good. Take care, everyone.